play it all in night. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Parker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing.
Welcome to Takeover, the most underrated sports debate show on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe for that bi-weekly sports content. What we talking about today, Cam? We are in the sweet spot of sports. We got college football going on. We got the baseball in the playoffs. Sorry.
No, we don't. The playoffs ended the moment the Braves lost. Nobody cares anymore.
And the NBA season is here. So I have to ask, after last night, we saw the smackdown the Warriors put on the Lakers. Are the Warriors the favorites to win the title again this year?
Realistically, if we're talking about favorites to win the title, I'm more inclined to lean out east because I think that Milwaukee and Boston both have very, very good chances to win. First of all, Milwaukee is the best player in the world in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I don't think you can really argue that anymore. And then Boston, everybody's making a big deal about Ime Udoka's situation. I don't think it's going to matter. When you've got a roster that deep and that talented, I really think that you could put a high school JV coach over there and they would still win about 59 games and make the playoffs.
You're wildly.
I'm telling you, listen, it's very simple. Give it to Jason Tatum, and if he's not hitting, you got Jaylen Brown. Not to mention now they got Malcolm Brogdon. They literally fixed their one weakness that they had. Now, the only thing about Golden State is when it comes to like the Western Conference, I do actually think they're the best team out there. And I think they're the favorites to repeat out there. And even though there are two rosters out there that I like on paper a little bit better, I have a hard time buying them as the threat to beat Golden State. So, like, I see the Clippers mentioned a lot because they're super, super deep, right? I mean, when you've got a depth chart that has John Wall, Norman Powell, Luke Kennard, Nick Batum, and Robert Covington as your bench, that's pretty insane. But the issue is their entire title hopes hinge on Kawhi Leonard and his legs, and I don't think that he's going to be enough to really get them there. I think that because he's been so injury prone before, I think as he gets older, this drop off is going to be stark. And I don't think Paul George is a number one at all. And then the other one is the Nuggets. And it's the same reason that I'm selling on them is injuries. You know, Jamal Murray, I think, will be okay coming off the ACL tear. I think he's had plenty of time. Michael Porter Jr. is the one that worries me because he's had a lot of back issues in his career. And even when he's fully healthy, I'm not 100% sure how impactful of a player he is. You know, he's really good when he's being set up by Jokic. I just don't think he's that guy. I think he's a really good shooter, but I just don't think he's that guy. So favorite to win it all, I've got whoever comes out of the East, Milwaukee, Boston, maybe even Philadelphia. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about that team. Maybe the Hawks, who knows? They got to get hot at the right time, but they've got talent. It's very much reaching, but you got to throw names out there. But when it comes to out West, who's the favorite to win out West, I think I've got Golden State.
All right, so in my personal opinion, I agree with what you said about the Eastern Conference, but if we look at the NBA as a whole, it's completely brutal, not just the Eastern Conference. Even in my opinion, I feel like the Western Conference is really good too. When you look at Golden State's path to the finals, they went through the Denver Nuggets. In the first round, they really weren't capable of guarding the perimeter because when you look at the pieces that were missing in Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., they were able to kind of like fish out Nikola Jokic. But with those two people coming back, I think they're definitely going to be better. You look at the Grizzlies, they were able to get 2 games over them, but then injuries came into the part of the game. But then, you know, the Grizzlies seem to get better every single year. And then you look at the Clippers, which you look at Kawhi Leonard, a player who when he's in his rhythm and he gets in his bag, he's a top 5 player in the league. You have PG, John Wall, and you also talked about the depth as well. But when it comes to the health of that team, I feel like because they have so much depth, they don't have to play Paul George or Kawhi Leonard throughout the entire year. And
even with load management, he still gets hurt.
That's true.
But I just think it's very hard to repeat, and everything has to go right in a sense. And you know, I still have some questions. I have questions about like 2 out of the 3 of the core players of the Warriors. So, for example, like what exactly is Klay Thompson going to be? So I feel like in the playoffs, don't get me wrong, Klay Thompson has his moments, but he kind of had a subpar playoff series. And another question, besides being an MMA fighter, what is Draymond going to be? Because in his finals performance as well, in his finals performance, he had a subpar series as well, except for Game 6 when he gave them what they needed. And I'm not saying the Warriors are not capable of accomplishing these things. You know, you never doubt Steph Curry and the Warriors. But like I said, it's very difficult to repeat, and it takes everything to go right.
If one of y'all punched me like that, I would have been in jail.
Hey, bro, listen, if we're going to call him an MMA fighter, we got to acknowledge the fact he didn't shoot for the double leg after the punch. He could have gotten to the ground, burned him down. But, you know, Chael Sonnen would be very disappointed.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, so that's so weak. He punched him and there's like, no, don't go to the ground.
I'm sorry.
You got to take him to the ground. Khabib him, bro.
Well, as you know, I'm on the show. I make a lot of bold statements. I'm going to make another one today.
Here we go. Come on, talk to me. I need to baby.
The Clippers should be the favorites to come out the West because a healthy Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the Western Conference. I take him over Jokic. I take him over Steph just because of what I've continually have seen. And you just went over how deep they are. You have John Wall, Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Luke Kennard, Robert Covington, Terrence Mann. Most of these guys are starters, and they're all coming off the bench. Besides Reggie Jackson, I'm pretty sure him and John Wall are gonna revert time and time again.
John Wall because talk about injuries.
If he's back, that's another add to the offense. All this team really is missing is Pat Bev, and then they'd be a chip lock for me. But other than that, I think this is a team full of two-ways and a team full of scorers, and they're all coached by the best coach in the NBA in Ty Lue. I've seen the way Ty Lue has made adjustments in the playoffs. I've seen what Ty Lue has been able to do towards the season, and I think he's the best coach in the NBA. And you talked about Paul George. Playoff P may be shaky, but regular season P is an absolute problem, as we've seen. And I think he'll play better in the regular season, and I think he's shown over time in the playoffs that he's gotten better. He passed that hump. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago, you were talking about the Jazz were going to beat the Clippers, and who got hurt in that series? Kawhi Leonard. And who stepped up and won that series? Paul George won that series. And I think the
Clippers blew a 3-1 lead.
They did. I'm talking about the year before.
I just wanted to make sure.
About the year before. I'm just calling you out on it. It's okay. It's okay. Everyone's wrong from time to time. It's okay.
A lot of people were sipping that. Yeah, we know you're wrong. A lot of people were sipping that Utah Jazz Kool-Aid. I own that one.
Yeah, okay. And as I told you guys before, Kawhi Leonard is a superstar. And I know I made that list before, and it was, it's shaky, but the list is fluid. I think Kawhi coming off of a season where he played was, half of the season. Kawhi never plays the whole season. He averaged 24, 6, and 5 in 2020 and led that team to the Western Conference Finals. And honestly, if Kawhi didn't get hurt, I believe the Clippers would have won the finals that year. I think he would have outed Giannis in that finals. And I think he'll remind everyone how good he is this season. And I just don't know how you beat a team that's as deep as the Clippers, has a superstar, can out-scheme you, can out-shoot you, and can guard you from everywhere. And if John Wall is half of what he was, this team is going to be really hard to stop in transition as well. I think the Clippers are going to be the team to beat in the West, and they will be the favorites in probably a couple weeks.
I have a very simple answer for how they beat the Clippers, the Warriors specifically. I don't think we've seen the Warriors ceiling yet, which is an insane statement to say after they won the series. But think about it this way, right? They've got their core three, right? And they still have Iguodala, who's basically a coach at this point.
Yeah,
but we don't know if Jordan Poole is done growing. Mm-hmm. We don't know what James Wiseman really is. And what we've seen from the preseason, he could be something. He could be something special. Kuminga, fantastic athlete, showed a lot of flashes last year. His biggest question mark coming into the draft is now actually his biggest strength on defense, and he's a ball of energy on offense. And then Moses Moody never even really got to play, but Moses Moody was most NBA ready out of all three of those when he got drafted. So I'm just saying, the Warriors lost a few good pieces in like Otto Porter and Gary Payton, but putting these young guys in and allowing them to grow, this team could get better this year, which is, again, an insane statement to say. But I'm telling you, with the youth that they have, we don't talk enough about the fact that the Golden State Warriors have both rebuilt and contended at the exact same time. That is the hardest thing to do in professional sports. And all it took was one horrible season and one mediocre season. And the next thing you know, they've got 2 or 3 more franchise pillars. I'm just saying, if they progress the way that some of the people inside the Warriors organization think they will, this Warriors team is going to be dangerous.
That's a good point, but it's how deep are they going to go in the playoffs? A lot of teams don't throw their whole entire roster out there in the playoffs. We don't know how deep they're going to go. But, I mean, I feel like the Clippers can go just as deep. And we saw how the Warriors struggled at some points with having two wing defenders with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Well, they're going to face some wing defenders who are just as good in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They could. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like on the perimeter, it's going to be a matchup to where the Clippers have the benefit because they're a bigger team as well.
I'm with you on that, but we're dealing in basically hypothetical because we don't know what Kawhi is going to look like.
And we don't know what Klay's looking like. What if
Klay's already
Thompson
played,
is in there?
and Klay can at least still hit jumpers.
But if he's
His
not there,
entire
it takes
game
away.
is built around hitting threes. And on top of that, coming back from an ACL, watching Ronald Acuna Jr. this year, I can tell you right now, you don't feel the same until 18 months removed. He's on record saying he feels completely different this season than he did last year. So, again, that's the other thing. We don't know. If Klay goes back to who Klay was, this team's even better than I just was talking about.
Right.
But the issue with Kawhi is we've seen so many injuries, right? Klay had the 2 back-to-back, which was awful. But up until that point, he was an Iron Man. Kawhi's had these injury issues dating back to like 2017. And borderline, same thing with Paul George. Same thing with John Wall. He's played 40 games in the last 2-3 seasons? Are we going to bank on him? Because without John Wall, they don't have a shot creator for
anybody else. And we've seen Curry have the same ankle injury for the past 2 years too, though. It's gonna. First of all, it's all about health. Whoever's healthy is going to the playoffs is gonna be a good team. Because I mean, if we're gonna execute health, then everyone's a contender then. But I think it's the Clippers this year. I think you put up a good point though.
As long as we agree, it's not Memphis.
Hey, Christmas is gonna be interesting. I think that Christmas game between them and Golden State will be really interesting.
I forgot to mention sneaky team that I think could be a contender. New Orleans Pelicans.
I like the lineup. The lineup is crazy.
They're starting a 6'8" guy at shooting guard.
The lineup is crazy.
They've got my personal favorite player outside of Atlanta, so I'm biased. But if Zion really has gotten chiseled,
if the pictures translate to what I've seen, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I can't wait to watch them play.
I don't want to sound like I'm dumping on Memphis. I don't like the fact that they gave away veterans and they replaced them with rookies. That was my issue. Was they traded Melton and Anderson? They got rid of Melton and Anderson and put LaRavia and Roddy in those spots. I don't know how that's gonna work.
You don't have to worry about the Hawks, so that's fine.
We got DeJounte. We approved.
Let's come out with an episode before a fight breaks out. Josh, do you have anything to say?
Ain't no fight gonna break out. I should stop. I should stop guessing things about Atlanta sports teams because apparently I'm a walking jinx. So I think the Hawks are going to miss the playoffs. I think the Atlanta Braves are never going to make it back to a World Series ever again, and the Falcons are going to be a dormant franchise forever.
You might just have told the facts.
And we're never going to get a hockey team again.
I agree with everything you just said because you came on the show and said it for literally every single episode, and it didn't happen. So
October baseball is a crapshoot and crazy. Billy Bean said it best. My stuff doesn't work in October. My job is to get the team to October. Everything after that's a crapshoot. Do what you gotta do.
That's gonna wrap up our show. Takeover out.
Hey, champ. Yeah, we play it all in night. Yeah. Need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Parker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter. You know I'm a face, and when I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a check, flip a W, make it an M. I need